I can talk and you guys can all hear me, but I am actually not able to hear what you guys are saying. So if you guys are trying to ask me a question or to let me know that you can't hear me or you can't see my screen or anything like that, please just type a message in the chat window, and that way I will be able to recognize that and can plan accordingly. But just to give an introduction, my name is Brad Randolph, and I am the web manager here, so I am in charge of the development team and a lot of the website builds that we do. So the topic that I'm going to be discussing with everyone today is the latest website trends and basically just keeping up with the competition. As we all know, websites are an ever-changing and ever-growing item, and it's always best to keep up with the latest and greatest. And so I'm just going to discuss real briefly and show some examples of some of the most common things that people are asking for, looking for today, and I'll kind of just give an explanation of what they are, as well as why they're useful for you and your website. So keeping up with the competition. As an overview of the presentation, we will be talking about ways to improve your website through email, spam protection, expand collapse regions, YouTube video galleries, parallax sliders, new age mobile websites, and responsive websites. If you aren't familiar with any of those, don't worry. I'm going to cover them in this presentation. So the very first thing that I'll talk about is spam protection. That's probably the most common thing that we hear here at PaperStreet, is that people are getting a lot of spam, and it's definitely something that is almost unavoidable to a certain degree, but there are definitely ways of taking precautions to decrease the amount of spam that you receive, and so I'm going to discuss some of those ways with you right now. So here at PaperStreet, we supply sites in 2 content management systems, either WordPress or Total Control, and each of them will provide their own ways that we can go about protecting your website from spam. And so some of the things that we'll talk about are CAPTCHAs, honeypot scripts, akismet, and custom parameters, and I will get into those shortly. So the very first thing is a CAPTCHA, and I'm sure that we've all seen this on websites. This is probably the #1 thing that I would recommend for spam if you really are getting a lot of it. It's just, it shows you a picture of words and asks you to type in the words below, and this is supported in Total Control and WordPress. And adding this to your site really is a short task. I mean, if you're receiving a lot of spam and you're worried that you know, it's going to cost you a lot to get it fixed, it really won't. Setting up a CAPTCHA, you know, only takes about 30 minutes or so, so it's really not too big of a task. Another thing that we offer is a honeypot script, and this is basically what we do is we have a field in the form that is hidden, and basically so anyone visiting your website will not see this field, but when a spam bot comes through, it will fill out the field, and if the field is filled out, it will mark it as spam, and you want to do the email. So that's kind of how the honeypot script works. Another spam protection, this is available only in WordPress, and if you're getting a lot of comment spam and contact form spam, akismet is definitely something to look into. It's only $4.99 a month, and it allows you, it acts as a spam protection, and also if spam is getting through as you mark it as spam, it will actually increase its spam protection for you. So it kind of is like a smart program in that it learns which comments and forms you are letting them know is spam, and it will plan accordingly. And then, of course, there are also always custom parameters that we can add in. So if you're getting a common spam item, say from like a convenience store or some kind of retail store, we can put a script in there that says if it has any of these words in it, don't include that and don't allow it to be sent. That's always available also. And so what will this cost me? This will definitely not cost you an arm and a leg. Setting up email spam protection is a very quick edit, you know, sometimes between 15 and 45 minutes, depending on the complexity or how many forms you have. But anywhere from 15 to 45-minute edit can be expected for email spam protection. So moving on to the next topic that we'll talk about, expand collapse regions. This is definitely something that's become very popular recently, and there are benefits and there are downfalls to it, so we'll talk about them both. And so I'll show you some examples of expand collapse regions and kind of explain them a bit. So this is from one of our websites that we've done. It's an expand collapse region, and the way that we've used it here is really to organize the content so all the columns are even. The particular client didn't like the fact that one of the columns was a lot longer than the other two columns. It just didn't look as uniform and nice on the website. So we put in an expand collapse region, and it kind of hides the content on the left side, and when you click it, you're able to see it. And so he has all the content on his page, but it still looks uniform and nice. It's just a really good way of organizing it and things like that. So here's another example of expand collapse regions. This is on an attorney bio page. One thing about expand collapse regions is that because it is hiding the content, one, I wouldn't recommend putting your most important content in an expand collapse region because it is hidden by default. So like more or less important things, like on an attorney bio, for example, these are less important things to this particular client, so they decided for us to put them inside expand collapse regions, such as what courts they're admitted to, education, public service, things like that. And it definitely cleaned up their bio and allowed the website to really flow and showcase the important content and then kind of organize the page so that it looks nice in a much different ways. Something that we're finding actually recently, though, is that search engines slightly look down upon content that's inside expand collapse regions. So something that we would want to look for is not putting the most important content of a page inside an expand collapse region, but more so just putting the content that isn't as important but that's on the page, and really just using it as a technique to clean up the aesthetics of the page. And so what will this cost you? Definitely not an arm and a leg again. Expand collapse regions are really quick. Once we write the initial script for the expand collapse regions, you would actually be able to add expand collapse regions wherever you wanted across the site. So something like this would take anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes as an update to your site if you wanted us to clean up any of the pages for you. And then so also becoming more popular are videos. Videos are becoming more popular for multiple reasons. One, because people like watching videos. Two, also SEO and search engines are also placing value on videos. So videos are actually ranking higher in search results, as well as you're able to add links to your website in your descriptions of your videos on YouTube channels. So that's just getting more backlinks to your site, and overall it looks good and it helps let the search engines know that this video is associated with this site, and it definitely improves SEO efforts in that sense. And so a lot of people have a common misconception that having a YouTube gallery would be something that's very hard to maintain and update. And while it's not completely not technical, they actually have ways now where you can set it up so that your YouTube gallery on your website is basically controlled by your YouTube account. So you would set up an account with YouTube, and then from there you would basically just upload your videos and they would automatically be added to your website. And so it's definitely really convenient. It allows you to really control your YouTube channel, and you can set up a channel on your website. So here's an example of a channel that we've set up on a website. This is for John Scully, the former CEO of Pepsi and Apple. And the YouTube channel, basically, it pulls in all the videos that he uploads to his YouTube account. So anytime he has a new video or interview, he would just upload it to his YouTube account, and it automatically pulls it to the website here. And it actually organizes them by the most popular. So the very first video would be the video that's viewed the most, and so on. So setting up something like this, because of the new scripts that are available, it actually isn't too bad. So it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg again. Setting up a YouTube gallery can take anywhere from about an hour and a half or so, and then give or take X amount of videos. So it's about an hour and a half to set up, and then usually about 10 minutes per video of upload time if you guys weren't planning on uploading the videos yourselves. If you are planning on uploading the videos yourselves, then great. It would probably just be an hour and a half of our time to set up the channel for you and set up the script, and then that would allow you to control your videos from your YouTube account. So moving on to the next topic, we're going to talk about parallax slide animations. Now this is actually something pretty difficult to really showcase on this slideshow. So probably something that would be a better idea would be actually going to the websites that I'm showcasing in the slider while I'm discussing them. So the very first slide, Parallax image area, would be Jimerson Cobb. If you went to jimersoncobb.com, they have a great Parallax image area. And what Parallax really means is it's just multiple functionalities going on at the same time. So in this particular Parallax animation for Jimerson Cobb, there's multiple layers in the image. So there's the background image of the boat with the trees, and then there's 3 different layers of green squares, and then there's the text. And basically they all fly in at a different time and speed, and it really makes for cool animations, and it really allows for a lot of really neat stuff that when you see it on a website, it really catches the user's eye, and it's clearly impressive, and it definitely brings a good look to the website itself. So it would fly in, and then everything kind of stacks on top of each other, and it ends up looking really nice in the end. And so definitely Parallax animations are something that would be better looked at if you actually went to a website that had them, as opposed to this slideshow where the images actually aren't really moving, so it's kind of hard to envision. But what will it cost you? Setting up Parallax animation, it really starts with the design. So if you have a design on your slider that kind of would work with multiple layers, and you have a vision of where these items could be moving, then setting it up could take, around 4 to 5 hours. Or if it was including design time, it would probably take around 10 hours, and that would just be for the design time of the slide, and then building out the actual animation on the website. So that one's definitely a little bit more involved, but not the end of the world if you're looking for something really for that wow factor on your website. The next thing that we're going to talk about is New Age mobile websites. And what is a New Age mobile website? That's just the term that I made up. So don't Google that. But what a New Age mobile website is to me and to us here at PaperStreet is, because of the latest trends in coding style, we're actually able to create mobile websites without having a separate website for the mobile. And what that means is basically, I'm sure you guys, if you guys have not seen a responsive website, when you shrink your browser, it kind of shrinks with it. And that's somewhat similar to the way that New Age mobile websites work, in the sense that once you get to a certain width on your browser, it's going to snap down to a one-column layout for mobile devices. So I'm going to show you guys some examples of some websites that we've done this on. And so here's an example from carsafetylawyer.com. This is the website on the left, and then the mobile website on the right. So you'll see really what happens is once the browser gets really, really slim and small, everything kind of snaps into a one-column layout, so the logo goes center, all the contact information is centered, the menu items become centered, and so on like that. So that's a really good example of what the New Age mobile websites will do for your website. And they're actually really convenient because we can add them to your website if you don't have them right now, and it's not too big of an ordeal. It is kind of dependent on the design of your website and the complexity of the coding, how much time it would take, but I'll kind of get into that in a minute. So here's another example from Robert Allen Law, where the website itself is not responsive, but once you get to a mobile version, it shrinks down, everything becomes one column, it fits really nicely in the phone, and it looks great. And the usability becomes, a lot better for the person on the actual device. Here's just one more example. This is from incourt.com, and the full screen website is on the left, and the mobile is on the right. Again, it just kind of centers the information and shrinks it down into one column. And so this is what we are here at PaperStreet are calling the New Age mobile websites. And so what will this cost you? Definitely not an arm and a leg. New Age mobile websites here, they kind of take anywhere from around 10 hours would be a good guess for how long it would take on a typical website. And so it's definitely something affordable and something that really looks great for your website and is really great for usability on people if they're coming to your website from mobile. And so maybe you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know if enough people are coming from mobile or from an iPad or some kind of small device. I don't know how many people are coming from that device, so I don't know if I need this kind of upgrade. That's definitely something that you can find a direct answer for, and you can find it in Google Analytics. So in your Google Analytics, you'll be able to go to, it's going to be in content and traffic sources and devices, and it will let you know what percentage of people are visiting your site from mobile. And if you see that like an overwhelming percent, like 10% or more, are coming from mobile devices, then I would definitely recommend getting a mobile website because it just increases the usability and people are having an easier time to navigate through your site, and it just makes everyone happier overall. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about, of course, is responsive websites. This is, of course, the latest and greatest. Over the past year, it's become, the new thing. And what a responsive website means is that no matter what width of browser you're viewing a website on, the website will fit that browser accordingly. So if you shrink a browser while you're looking at a device, it will shrink with you. And also, if you're viewing it on an iPad, it will have a slightly different layout than on a desktop and a slightly different layout than on a mobile. And it really just conforms to the width of the specific device to make it easier on the user. So here's some examples of responsive websites. This is a website that we did a while back. This is Archer Law. And so you'll see the full desktop view on the left side where the content is in a 3-column layout. And then if you look at the iPad on the right, once it's shrunk down to that width, the content actually becomes 2 columns, and then with one below it in full width. And then for the mobile, it becomes, again, 1 column. So it fits on every device, and no matter which device you would view it on, it would adapt to that. So here's another great example. This is GA Telesis. This is actually a really big project that we did. So this one, as you'll see, it goes, and it's fluid the whole way, so as you shrink it, it's shrinking with you, and just the 3-column layout in the top left, it becomes a slightly taller but skinnier 3-column layout on the right, and then in the mobile it breaks down again to a 1-column layout. And then this is one more example of a responsive website. This is actually a website that was not responsive originally, and that contacted us to turn it responsive. So basically, it starts as 3 columns, and then it turns into a 2 columns with 1 below it, and then for mobile, it goes down to a 1 column. And it really just, the reason behind it is just that you have the same website, but just it's really easy to view and use for all different devices, depending on what the user is coming to your site from. And so what will it cost you? Not an arm and a leg, definitely not. Responsive websites are definitely a little bit more intensive than other websites, so it is also dependent on the complexity of the design of your website and how many individual elements you actually have on your site. So we say that responsive websites are kind of quoted on a per project basis because it all definitely really depends on what kind of complexity you have involved in your current website. And so that will do it for the presentation. So thank you for attending. I'm going to actually unmute everyone, and I'll take a few questions if anyone has any. So